It's 2024 and LEGO has just re-released the GOAT, so I guess we should have seen this coming when they gave us yet another GOAT, this time in the form of the Formula 1 GOAT, Ayrton Senna. Oh hey, it's Astrid, the asterisk of subjectivity. Say hi, Astrid. No, we're not gonna do that, but a lot of what I'm gonna say today is just going to be my opinion.
You either believe this or you don't. The cars themselves are beautiful things. They're a little less beautiful when they're painted like cigarette packets or whatever they paint them as now, perhaps.
Thanks, Chief Sports Writer Richard Williams. LEGO agrees. That's why they've removed all references to those evil corporations. All it cost LEGO was, well, the accuracy of this set. The only thing it will cost you is about $80. Today we're talking about the LEGO Icons 1/13 scale McLaren MP4/4 and Ayrton Senna. This set was just released in March 2024. It contains 693 pieces and can be yours for the price of about $80. Forgive the condition of this box, it was run over by a McLaren MP4/4. This set contains a beautiful, again, subjectively beautiful model of that McLaren. It has a nice little display stand and it even comes with an official Ayrton Senna minifigure with his own little podium. For non-Formula 1 fans, this set is not. But for non-Formula 1 fans watching this video, why does this set rightfully fall into the LEGO Icons category? Because that theme is a catch-all for non-IP 18+ sets? Yes, but also this vehicle is truly iconic in the Formula 1 world, as is Ayrton Senna, hence he is heavily featured in this set. Why can Senna be considered one of the GOATs of Formula 1? Well, he won a bunch of races, he won 3 drivers' championships, but there's more to it than that. In Formula 1, you often hear the argument that it's just whoever has the best car wins, and that is a large part of it. But when Senna joined Formula 1, he was on a lower team, a backmarker team, but he still outperformed what anyone expected of that vehicle, and he basically was irrefutable proof of how important a driver is to the car. He's referred to as a virtuoso. Was he privileged? Yes. Was he more talented than he was privileged? I believe so. As for the car, it was almost as iconic as the driver. This is the Marlboro McLaren Honda. This is back when Honda made the engines for these cars, as opposed to now when Honda makes the engines for other cars. I think Mercedes makes the McLaren engines. A lot of things were complicated back then, as opposed to now when it's all very simple. Not that we're getting into Formula 1 semantics here, but as long as we're getting into Formula 1 semantics, there are 10 teams total, but 20 drivers. Each team has 2 identical cars, and basically the biggest rivalries are between the 2 drivers on the same team. In this case, Ayrton Senna's biggest rival was his teammate, Alain Prost. I don't know, I'm not British. In reality, this could have been either of their cars, change out the number on it and it's exactly the same. I guess the set was somewhat sponsored by the Senna Foundation, which makes sense. But that Senna vs. Prost rivalry was good for Formula 1 in the late 80s, just like Verstappen vs. Hamilton was good for Formula 1 recently, just like Netflix is good for Formula 1 now, just like different opinions are good for the LEGO YouTube community, even if those opinions are different from your opinions. Subjectivity. We're still in the context portion of this video, but as far as I can tell, the real McLaren MP4 from 1988 on which this car is based, I think it is still owned by McLaren themselves. Some of the other Senna cars have been sold off. One is actually owned by Zach Brown, but when I reached out to him for comment, he said he was stuck in colder weather. If you want more Senna context, there's an excellent documentary movie that came out, I think in 2010, entitled Senna, very much worth looking up. It's not available on Amazon, though when I did search for it on Amazon, not Amazon Video, I found that no one's legacy is too large to avoid being turned into a laxative pill. But now that we're all nice and cleaned out, let's talk about this minifigure. This Ayrton Senna minifigure, I think, looks pretty great. He's a kind of generic looking dude, so this is kind of a generic looking face and hairpiece, which is fine. I love his signature yellow helmet with the Brazilian colors on it. This is a much cheaper way to get that helmet than the real thing, which I think recently sold for like over 100 grand at auction. The racing suit is accurate enough, and I assume unique to this set. He comes with a trophy, which he won many of during his esteemed career, so that's also accurate. Unfortunately, this piece is not sponsored by any toothpaste brand because there is a little plaque. On said plaque, it reads, "No matter what your dream is, you have to dedicate yourself entirely to it." One of Senna's well-known quotes among many others. As for the model of this car, it has its positives and its negatives, as do we all. It does have a nice little feature where if you turn the steering wheel, it turns the front wheels. Other than that, not much playability. Clearly it's meant to be displayed. You can also open up this entire engine compartment, which is nice, and underneath is a fully modeled engine. A few little Easter eggs to his Brazilian heritage there, which is very nice. Again, not a play feature, but a great display feature. You may be asking, how can you stoop so low? Well, thanks to these new tire and suspension pieces, this car rides just 2 plates off off the ground. And that was actually a design challenge, according to the designer of this set, because Formula One sets do ride so close to the ground. In this case, I think it's very well achieved. And not to take the air out of your tires, but there's no air in these tires. They are solid rubber. Again, new piece. I think they look really great. And the best part, they are slick tires, which is exactly what Formula One cars should always get in the case of LEGO. However, this is one of the few cases that I think including treaded or wet tires would have been appropriate here, because Senna was actually so good at driving in wet conditions. Another inaccuracy here, the rear tires should be wider than the front tires. If that bothers you so much, you can remove them. It wasn't worth the energy to me. I would have been too tired. Speaking of new pieces, this red and white nose cone covering that steering column is also a new mold, and I don't like to quote other creators, especially these creators who I would never feature on my own channel, but
it shows as pink and not quite white like we might see on the box. Depending on the light, definitely does look pink.
Yeah, white printing on a red piece doesn't really show so well, but the alternative is a sticker, so at this point you just gotta pick what you're willing to complain about, and for me it's neither. Some positives about this model. Again, the slick tires are a must and they look great here. The overall car looks fantastic. The aerodynamics of Formula One cars is always like the main part of actual Formula One cars, and that is always, they always end up looking a little bit blocky in a LEGO version, but I think in this case, the F1 cars of the 80s and 90s were a little bit simpler, so it was a little easier to achieve an accurate look on this model. The size of this car is also really nice for displayability. It's over 12 inches long, or close to a whopping 1 foot. It also comes with a nice little display stand, and speaking of standing, if you stand far enough back from this set, you almost couldn't even tell it was LEGO. So go ahead and display this one in your office at work and just hope people ask you about it so you can be like, no, it's actually a LEGO set. I work from home. Nobody asks me about my things here. Unfortunately, this stand is not sponsored by any toothpaste brand, because it does have a little plaque. On said plaque are some relevant facts about the car, which is great, but honestly my favorite fact about it is in this 1988 season, McLaren won all but one race the entire season, and basically pole positions were split between its two drivers, which is remarkable and largely the reason why this vehicle and that driver are so, I don't know, iconic, for lack of better words. A positive of this set over some other LEGO car models is that it doesn't have too many stickers. A negative of this set is that it doesn't have enough stickers. It's been a bad year for LEGO Formula One, only in the sense that we don't have Goodyear printed tire decals on the outside of these tires, which I would have excused until very recently, when LEGO has sponsored Pirelli tires printed on the outside of the rubber of a much smaller Speed Champions tire. So that, I'm assuming, was just licensing stuff. The larger missing sponsor, to which I alluded earlier, is of course the Marlboro cigarette brand, which if you just looked at this McLaren from those years, that was just plastered on the sides and everywhere on the car. I guess that's the whole point of spending a bunch of money to sponsor cars, that your brand kind of becomes synonymous with the vehicle. Obviously, it's obvious why LEGO obviously left that non-family friendly brand off of their car. It's funny that we just straight up ignore it, but what I'm trying to say is that I don't know what I'm trying to say. I don't want that brand on the car, but I also want an accurate MP4, and I'm sure people have already started releasing sticker packs if you really want those things on your car. I'm gonna leave it as is, I guess. I don't know. The only way to correctly enjoy the set is to buy a second version of it and buy some custom stickers and plaster the Marlboro branding all over your second set, and then keep this one pure and as is, and buy a third one and keep it in the box just for investing purposes. And oh, the asterisk has showed up. You shouldn't do the things that I tell you to do here. My favorite activity is subjectivity. Tragically, Ayrton Senna passed away after a devastating crash during a Formula One race at the very young age of 34. Yes, 34 is young to some of us. So the moral of the story is, life is short. Go out and buy this set right now. You don't know how much longer you... Don't do that. Don't do that. The moral of the story is appreciate life, live life to the fullest, and if you like Formula One or McLaren or Ayrton Senna, then yes, this set is absolutely one for you. Always remember, pole position should be on the racing line, and if you see a like button and you don't click it, you're no longer a real YouTube viewer. So like, subscribe, and go watch more Formula One. I'll see you next time.